Hello, this is just a wonderful opportunity to be part of the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation's 30th anniversary. It gave me an opportunity to look back at a time I now call one of my two Camelot career times in my life, working with Mark Warner and Whit Clement, and the whole gang was just an amazing opportunity. I also had the privilege of working with Phil Chuquette at DOT and an extremely talented team of individuals at Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation, including but not limited to Corey, Chip, Steve, George, and gang. So it's with great optimism I look forward. Just literally 2 weeks ago, I had the honor of being at an event in Tyson's Corner. And of course, I hearken back on one of our major accomplishments, which is after 40 years, being able to actually jumpstart and kick the Dulles Rail project into being. After two failures in my first few months there, first year there actually, we were able to finally, in June of 2004, get permission from the Federal Transit Administration to move that project into preliminary engineering and begin the process that's now resulted in almost the full line being built, but I know it's very close. It was an amazing time with many, many challenges, but we not only had a governor and the whole administration supporting us as an agency and as individuals, but we also had a bipartisan group of people on the Hill led by Frank Wolf and 2 senators, 3 congressmen, and every leader in business in Northern Virginia, supporting our 40-person organization as we took on the challenge of setting up the Dulles Rail project. So that was truly a huge highlight, and as I looked at it 18 years later, I could do nothing but smile and think back at all the battles that we had to fight, but how we were a lean machine, and then working with our partners, we were able to make that project a reality. So that's one of my biggest favorite memories, although there were many times I thought, there's no way we're going to ever make this happen. The next one is we set up the first rail fund for the Commonwealth of Virginia, led again by Governor Mark Warner, and found a way to start funding both freight and passenger rail projects. I'm very honored. I feel like I was the mother of helping create that program, and now I've watched with great interest as the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation has built on that initial seed money and has a bold, wonderful vision of how rail can truly impact the Commonwealth of Virginia in the future. We also developed a very robust model about how the money that was being returned on rail investments really did bring many, many values back to the Commonwealth, and as well as the riders. That included things like climate change. It included things like reducing use of fuel, reducing wear and tear. Speaking of that, one of our other big projects was the Heartland Corridor. So we were able to complete the connection from Norfolk going west through the rail fund as one of the first projects. And we had a great time trying to figure out how we were going to make I-81 work better. And so as an agency, we led 14 states in doing a study about the logistics and what really made sense and how we could advance and invest public dollars and where the private sector was going to need to be involved. So as I look back at those times, I realized how much we got done in 4 years. I realized that it was not just a small group of people, although the Dulles Rail project had probably 8 or 10 people in total, as well as our consultants and WMATA and the bidding team. But those 8 or 10 people, including a future DRPT director, made a huge, huge step forward by just managing that side of the program. But we also had people like John Milliken and Kenny Kling and Ken Plum and other people in Northern Virginia that were just relentless about carrying that project forward. But the same applied to people across the state when it came to developing the rail fund. We also did a 6-year strategy for transit as well as rail, and that was one of the first times that that had been done. There was always a 6-year plan with DOT, but we were able to do even more by thinking strategically about how we would use additional monies for transit as well as for rail. So it was a wonderful time. I think back with very fond memories on what I call one of my two Camelot moments. Several people say, why was it separate from VDOT? And although Phil Chiquette could not have been more supportive, and in fact even offered several positions to help us be able to staff properly, it was clear that attention from a small group of people on the issues of public transportation and rail gave those modes the attention and time they needed to be able to develop and grow. And although I've worked in other states where rail is actually a subset of the state DOT, I think in Virginia and at least in one other state, having them have their own identity is very key to the successes that are now being seen. I am so honored that I have been followed by several of the really good leaders, but of course I have to call out Jennifer Mitchell in her new role at FRA, one I held. And it feels like the circle is continuing to grow and build. And if Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transit isn't the best place to learn, I think you could argue it's one of the best. So I wish all of you a very happy 30th anniversary and the best to everyone who uses these services and will continue to make the system stronger.